Just pop them anywhere.
Norm, did you want me to put that piece for you?
Please, yeah. Thank you. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Where do you want to put them, Dad? Do you want to put them here?
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. They'll be all covered up, won't they?
They're so bright they stand out. Oh, I will follow. Just go down a bit.
Look down.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is my friend Fido. Uncle Merv and Auntie Nola. I know you've met them before. Auntie Nola's sister Joan and Rosalie, Mum's best friend. Auntie Lorna, obviously. So this is my friend Fido since forever and ever. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, no, you're right. You go there. I got these. I don't know if you wanted to take them home. They were. This is what the mum's
Oh,
writing.
sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I've got sleeves to put them in photos. This is what the gentleman's going to read out today. It's mum. The day mum went into the home. The day mum went into the home. She, wanted to write a little thing about her life, and we were filling it all in, and she just kept going and going and going, and I was writing, and then it got really late, and we had to stop, and we never got back to it. So it kind of stopped. Life and he about 15, and we never got back to it. What does that? Yeah. My big hat gonna be in the way? No. It's Mum's hat.
We'll hide
So,
I thought I recognised it.
yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Nathan Ball. On behalf of the family and Whitsunday Funerals, I'd like to thank everyone for coming here today on this nice, fine morning. It is quite hot, so please make sure that you do drink a bit of water as well. And like I said, it is behind you. Today, we'll give you an opportunity to come up and say any words or anything you'd like to say on behalf of Margaret today and the family. So I'll have that in our service here today. Today we're here to honour and to pay tribute to the life of Margaret Alice Nairn-West. While you're all here, Margaret has been laid to rest, but today we remember her and her spirit. Margaret was quite an organised lady, and in doing so, she's got everything in her own words I'm sure that you all have in your hands now. So I'm going to read you the life of Margaret Alice Nairn-West. I grew up at Mount Martin outside of Mackay on a cane farm mostly, and for 2 years in Brisbane after the war. I lived on the farm with Mum and Dad, my grandparents, my auntie, and Lorna and Mervyn, and I just loved it there. We had a big mango tree in the front yard and in the backyard. I would sit under it and gorge mangoes. I counted 18 mangoes at once. My grandpa used to stand under the mango tree and get a mango and peel it and chop off a piece and give it to me. One of us chop off another piece and give it to another one of us. It was really lovely how he did that. He didn't know I'd already gorged myself on mangoes earlier. My grandfather used to chop wood for wood stove. The men used to get up themselves and cook their own breakfast, usually bacon and eggs, and do all their own dishes. They never left dirty dishes for Mum. They always cleaned up after themselves. Times have changed, haven't they? My grandfather used to take the billy and the smoko down to the boys at 9 o'clock in the morning. He had his big chair he used to sit in, and when he wasn't taking smokos down the paddock, when he used to sit in, when he wasn't taking smokos down the paddock, my father and uncle would come in from the cane paddocks in the late afternoon. He was a good father, and so was my mother and grandparents. They were all good family. Sitting around the big wooden table for a meal with the whole family was really special. When I was little, I used to play with the little baby frogs, and I loved watching my uncles walk behind the plough and the draft horses. I loved the draft horse called Lita. We used to love her and pat her. Mum and Dad rented a galvanised iron house about a mile across the paddocks because it was too cramped, and Dad bought a big acreage there, which he hoped could be a farm. He cleared all the land with the tractor and ploughed it all up. We were there for a couple of years. We left there as I turned 12 because Dad couldn't get an assignment because they said the land wasn't big enough to fallow, which means rest the land, even every 7 years. So we sold it and moved to Mackay into Sesame Street across from the Thomas Street across from the hospital. It was a low house with an open front and side veranda. Dad grew fruit trees and left facing the house and made a big vegetable garden down the back. We always had a big vegetable garden and a backyard toilet. Got to remember those. The dining room was right in front of the door and the piano facing the front of the house. With Lorna and Martha Zidem,
Yes.
a Dutch girl new to Australia, I would play the piano loud, and when we would all sing at the top of our voices, Doggy in the Window, and once called Nursey, which was a World War II song. There were others, but they were the main ones. We would all have great fun. As well as the piano, I used to play the mandolin, guitar, and recorder in a symphony setting. My sporting achievements were in high jump at Mount Martin School, doing gymnastics, and I once got the badge for the best techniques in tennis, except I couldn't play tennis. We would play rounders or cricket out in the street after school. 5 p.m. Tuesday, Lorna and I went to the ballet at Viv Robbie's ballet school at the Masonic Hall, which my great-grandfather Alexander Peary, I was right, opened when he was mayor of Mackay in the late 1800s. On the front of the Masonic Hall, the date it was opened by himself is still there. Saturday mornings we went to the Choral Society, and then guides in the afternoon. Just really picking up the wind here. And the pictures down at the fourways at night. We walked because we didn't have a car. Everyone went everywhere on push bikes except Mum. She never did. When I was 14, I left school and I went to work at Lambert's in the material department in the haberdashery, where we would send money up the chute into the office and come back down again with the change. I used to go out with a Dutch fellow by the name of Billy Mink. His father was killed as a pilot in the war, and he came over from Holland after the war. When I was 14 and a half, I was told You don't get a good job unless you get a scholarship. It was the worst advice I'd ever had. So I went back to school and did 12 months. Sister Patrick would say, Margaret Nairn, it's no wonder you can't do your work. You're always going out with boys. But it was only Bill and I riding on our push bikes on a Sunday. I went to Brisbane when I finished school at 15 and a half and went to June Daly Watkins Charm School, and Billy went to the Air Force. In 1955, I worked at June Daly Watkins Modelling and Photographic. Then at George Wallace Show in Brisbane, which was a vaudeville show, I was waiting for Tony Lamont to leave school so I could take her place on stage at Separate. In 1956, I worked in the beauty spot Hairdressers in Mackay as a receptionist. When I came back from Brisbane, Pat Crimmon landed on the back steps the next morning and asked me to go out with him and his friends, but I didn't want to go. We started going together after that. We had our children, Joy in 1957, Kathleen in 1958, and Patrick in 1959. The main thing for me has always been singing. Right from when I was little, from 7 years old, I was singing solo on the stage. I would sing for family up until the death of my daughter Kathleen and my first husband Pat. After that, I didn't really like to sing in front of anyone. My dad noticed and said to me, "You don't sing anymore." I just never could. When our first grandchild got married, I remember telling that Pat would be so proud, and the family had started together. I married William Fox, and we had Jamie in 1961, Jeffrey in 1962, Elizabeth in 1965, Dale in 1966, Karen in 1968, and Shireen in 1972. I was brokenhearted to lose Elizabeth at 11 months old and little Jeffrey at 5 years old. In 1977, I moved to Sydney to study Madame Corner Beauty Therapy College. In 1978, I married Lloyd West. I spent my life raising my children. I've always loved to sew, either doing fancy work with sewing machine, but not the overlocker. I mainly sewed clothes for the children and myself. I've always loved cooking, even reading cookbooks. I like to paint with acrylics and oils. I enjoy movies like Godfather and the dramas and romance and light comedy like Jake and the Fat Man, but not the rude or stupid comedy. I've always enjoyed English shows like Keeping Up Appearances and shows like Dallas Wanted, Sons and Daughters, and Escape the Country. I love to play cards, especially Phase 10, and read anything to do with the Royals. As a Jehovah's Witness, I go to meetings on Sundays, midweek, door-to-door field service. I like to start my mornings listening to John Laws. My oldest friend is Rosalie Rains. She is 6 months younger than me, and we have known each other since then. I have 13 grandchildren: Laura, Jeffrey, Caroline, Troy, Brad, Joel, Samantha, Dallas, David, Sarah, Aaron, Amy, and Jack. And 11 great-grandchildren: Emily, Alice, Julia, Finn, Taj, Callan, Olive, Sadie, Ethan, Layla, and Theodore. I love to dance ballrooms and stage dancing, and listen to Jerry Val, Rosemary Clooney, Julio Iglesias, Pavarotti, classical music, and Celtic thunder, but I never liked heavy metal, hillbilly, or opera. My favourite flower is the pale sweet pea. These are the words of Margaret Alice Nairn-West. Margaret Shaw lived a full life, and today the heartbreak of not being with the children that she's lost has been eased that burden, for she actually lay with those children here today. I'd now like to ask anyone else who would like to come up and say a few words or have any memories they'd like to share if you'd like to come up now. That's okay. It's not an easy thing to speak at a service, let alone someone that truly meant something to you. I'm sure you all feel the word that no one likes, which is grief. But what is grief? Grief is broken down into certain parts all over the internet, all over different meanings. But the ones that I truly believe grief to be is just a lot of pain that has nowhere to go. And that pain is just how much you love someone. So the grief we have is just love that doesn't know what to do. That love's been shown by you all attending the service here today for Margaret. And today, we bid her farewell, but she'll never be forgotten. So ladies and gentlemen, as we do the committal, can I please ask everyone to be upstanding. Margaret Alice Nairn-West, you were born, you've lived your life the way that you saw it fit. You have loved and you have lost. You have touched many people's lives, and for that will never be forgotten. Although you were buried with not all present, all of us still feel your presence here today. Today we let you go, only body, but your spirit will forever remain. Margaret Alice Nairn-West, may you be at peace. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this will now conclude our service here today. Please feel free to do your pedals as we listen to our final song.
Thank you.
I took the supermarket flyers from the windowsill, threw the day old tea in the cup, packed up the photo album Matthew had made, memories of a life that's been loved. Took the get well soon cars and stuffed animals, poured the old ginger beer down the sink. Dad always told me, don't you cry when you're down, but Mum, there's a tear every time that I blink. Oh, I'm in pieces, it's tearing me up, but I know a heart that's broke is a heart that's been loved, so I'll sing hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mum. When I fell down, you'd be there holding me up. Spread your wings as you go. When God takes you back, he'll say hallelujah, you're home. I fluffed the pillows, made the bed, stacked the chairs up, folded your nightgowns neatly in a case. John said he drive, then put his hand on my cheek and wiped a tear from the side of my face. And I hope that I see the world as you did, 'cause I know a life with love is a life that's been lived, so I'll sing hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mom. When I fell down, you'd be there holding me up. Spread your wings as you go. And when God takes you back, say hallelujah, you're home. the shape of my mom. You got to see the person I have become. Spread your wings, and I know that when God took you back, He said hi.